Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
You guys don't understand. I'm the person between you and leaving out of those doors, so focus on me. I'm looking out in the audience today, and I'm seeing some smiling eyes. I see some of you even dressed in your Sunday's best. One of the things that is amazing me is that, we're all wearing these masks, and COVID-19 has really set some of us up. Because what you don't understand is that a lot of us were wearing masks way before COVID-19. How many of you understand imposter syndrome? You know about imposter syndrome? Yes. I know about imposter syndrome. I know about imposter syndrome firsthand. You see, I was a nurse executive. I had a corner office. I had a six-figure income. I live in the suburbs. I drive a caddy truck. I have a husband of almost 30 years over here. I have 2 kids still living at home. What I didn't have was a dog and a white picket fence. That's the only thing that kept me from the American dream. You see, so many people wanted what I had, but they didn't understand what I went through to get where I was. And that's what imposter syndrome is about. When you leave out the house and you're showing up one way, and you know that you're someone totally different. I know that I'm not the only one that has walked in those shoes. So now that you know what imposter syndrome is, how many of you have lived in imposter syndrome? All right, I thought I'd see some more hands go up. So I just want to take you, today I want to, it's the end of the session, but I want to have a grown folks conversation. Do you guys mind if we have a grown folks conversation? Yeah. I mean, I know that you guys have had some stories today, and they're really some touchy-feely stories, and they got you inspired, and they got you empowered, and they got you motivated. But I'm that person today that's going to take you through some questions, that's going to possibly peel back some scabs. It's going to possibly make some people tear up. But what I'm hoping is that the questions that I ask today make you reach deep down inside of yourself. Be honest with yourself and be transparent, because the healing can't begin until you understand who you are, until you take that mask off and you show up and you show out. So again, I ask, do you mind if we have a grown folks conversation? All right, so I'm going to ask some questions today. And as I ask those questions, for those that are here in the room and for those that may be on the screen, as a person's hand go up, or you may even feel them trying to raise their hand up, or you know that they should be holding their hand up, I ask for you to not give them the side eye. I ask for you to not be judgmental, to not make them feel guilty about the questions that I'm about to ask. Are you ready? All righty. Ready? So, how many of you lost a parent before the age of 10? How many of you were shuffled around relative's house to relative's house because your parents were either addicted to drugs or alcohol? How many of you were told that you were cute, to be so dark, and to have big lips? How many of you suffered from depression? How many of you were told that you would never amount to anything? How many of you were chased around the house with a loaded shotgun? The person holding the shotgun was intending to kill you, and that person was your mother. How many of you had a child before the age of 15? How many of you have been abused? Verbally, mentally, physically, sexually? How many of you dropped out of high school? How many were told that you will never amount to anything? I believe I asked that one already. I just want to get another show of hands. How many of you had 4 kids by the age of 21? You see, I asked all those questions, and I saw hands go up, and I saw hands come down. I even saw some of you doing like this, like maybe you wanted to hold up your hand and you couldn't. But did you notice something that was happening here on this stage? Did you notice this right here? Did you notice how this hand stayed up with every question that I asked? Yes, every question I asked is a part of me, is a part of my core. So when people come to me with excuses, I'm not accepting excuses. Because I've been there, I've done that, I wrote the book, tossed it out, made a stage play, made a movie. So don't tell me about excuses. But I'm not here for pity today. I'm not here for pity at all. Because as you see, I'm Dr. Bridget Leonard today. I'm Dr. B. And you may ask, well, so who is Dr. B? I'm the lady standing here on the stage today with her boss lady lipstick on. I'm beautiful, I'm bold, I'm empowered, I'm inspiring, I'm encouraging, I'm motivating. I'm purpose-driven. I'm also a leadership development strategist. I'm an author. I'm a motivational speaker. I'm a nurse. I'm a mentor. I'm everything and all that. I like to say I'm everything and all that in 2 bags of whole food chips. Some people try to take my confidence as cockiness, but I have to ask them to just step back because as I shared from the beginning of my story, you saw everything that I've come through. I stand here before you today at 50 years old, and what you don't understand is that I just recently came out of my shell. I did not start telling my story, did not stop living the life of an imposter until 2 years ago. And what I found that as I told my story and I shared with people the things that I went through, I found that I was touching people and motivating people to do better and to be better. I found that that person that was sitting in that corner office, living this illusion, not sharing, was really not helping anyone. But when I took off all that weight and I dealt with the issues that I had as a child and growing up, I found that I was impacting so many people and that I was able to live out my personal mission. My personal mission is to positively impact at least one person every day through words, thoughts, or actions. And you may be saying only one person a day, but do you understand that one person a day equates to 365 people in a year and over a 10-year span, over 3,600 people? That's power. That's power that I want. That's power that I need to exude. So yes, my confidence may be confused with cockiness. That's fine. But I'm not dimming my light ever again to let others feel comfortable. So I ask you, do not dim your light to make others feel comfortable. Let your light shine so that you can shine on people and touch them. So I want to leave you with 3 things today. Well, there were 2 things that happened. Let me go back a little bit. There were 3 things that happened in my life that made me who I am today. The first thing was my mother's obituary. You see, I told you about my mother chasing me around the house with a shotgun. We had a very strange relationship until the last year of her life. We became really, really close. We created that mother-daughter bond that I should have had for the whole 19 years of my life, but I only experienced it for 1. But when I went to write her obituary because I was the oldest child, I didn't have any words to write because I didn't have that relationship with her. I didn't want my kids to go through that when it came time to bury me. I wanted to make a difference. I wanted them to have so much information, so many testimonies from people I touched that my obituary would go on and on and on and on. So that was one thing that changed my life. Another thing that changed my life was my son. At 21, I mentioned I had 4 kids by the age of 21. At 21, I lost my 4th child, my husband's first son. I lost him at 2.5 months to SIDS. That broke me. I don't know if we have any mothers in the room that has lost a child, but that's a feeling that cannot be explained. There's no way to comfort that person because I lost my child in 1991, and it's just like it was yesterday. But that impacted me. For a month, I went to work. I went to work study. I was at the college. Yes, even though I went through all of this stuff where I dropped out of high school, I realized that I had something to give. My mother always told me that I was book smart, not street smart. It took me a while to figure out what she was talking about, but I got it. But I went to college, and so after I lost my son, I was at work study, and I went to work study day after day. But I went to work study lost, half the time didn't know how I got there, and I got to the point where I was smelling like a homeless person. They pulled me to the side, and they're like, Bridget, you got to do something with all this. And that made me realize that, yes, I lost my son. But I had to reach deep down in myself and realize that, you know, God tells us that He's giving us kids on loan. So I had to realize that, you know, God, you can have your son back, but I think He was trying to tell me so much more. He was telling me that I still had 3 kids at home that I needed to do better for. You see, that third situation that made me wise up was the fact that I was also working at McDonald's. I thought I was doing something because when I started at McDonald's, I was in the back on the grill, and I had moved up to the front to be a team leader, but what I didn't realize is that I was still in McDonald's at $3.35 an hour trying to take care of 3 kids. That was not going to work. So I wanted more, and I did more. And so my message to you today is want more, do more, no excuses. So I'm leaving you with 3 things today. Again, I stand before you today as Dr. B, Dr. Bridget Leonard. You've heard my story. You've seen the things that I went through. Teen parenthood, abuse, not being loved by my mother. I'm standing here today, and I shouldn't be standing here today because I tried to kill myself not once, not twice, but 3 times. But I realized that God had a bigger purpose for me. And I'm hoping that as I leave out of this room, you remember my personal mission to positively impact at least one person. And I'm hoping that that one person is in this room or on the screen. So I'm leaving you with 3 tips. 3 tips that I want you to take into heart. First and foremost, I went through a series of things that could have broken the average person. I mean, that was just the outer layer of an onion. I didn't even go deep for you guys. That's just the outer layer. So those things could have broken someone. So if you went through those issues yourself, or you went through even different issues, but you know that they're messing with you today, please get professional help. I don't know why we're so slow to seek professional help, but get that professional help. Go to a psychiatrist, a psychologist, go to your pastor, some clergy. If you have to, reach out to a best friend, but get this off your chest. You're not going to begin to heal until you realize that there's a problem. Second, I want you to live your best life. When I say live your best life, living your best life does not mean having a corner office or a 6-figure income. Living a best life can be something as simple as making sure that every day you get up, you're doing something that makes you smile, something that makes you happy. Third, I need for you to take back the pen of your life and write your own story. You see, if I would have grown up under all of those circumstances and I wouldn't have believed in myself and I wouldn't have taken back the pen, I would merely be a picture in a dictionary up under the word statistic. But I took back that pen and I reclaimed my life because I know I wanted more and I know I wanted to do better. And now, if you open up Webster's dictionary and you go to the P's and you flip down to perseverance, I'm standing there with a big old smile on my face with this boss lady lipstick on, smiling hard at you. So everyone, I'm Dr. B, Dr. Bridget Leonard. Live your best life. Do not let your past dictate your future.